I've got an idea.
Hold on. No, my turn. I have an idea. I have an idea. Stick with me because you're going to love this. All right, here's how this goes. So there's a war going on, a first contact war between humans and aliens. This alien ship comes up to attack a human capital ship that they find. And when they get there, just this giant, big, new alien ship shows up, something they've never seen before. And it starts just breaking this ship apart piece by piece. And the story kind of unfolds. They try to convince these new aliens to join their side in the war, thinking that they're like this godlike super advanced race, right? But in secret, it's just a bunch of salvage workers on a big salvage ship. They're just a bunch of humans. But we see this kind of dynamic play out between the two captains of the ship. I don't know. I think it'd be fun.
You've been playing Star Citizen, haven't you?
No, just a little bit. Just a lot of it.
I love it. I love it.
Cool.
All right, let's run with it, bro. We're gonna make a character. We're gonna inject that character into this situation, and we're gonna flesh it out and build this awesome space epic.
Love it. Let's do it.
Welcome into the Phantom. Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Peter, and today, special guest, Will Mueller. He's got an idea. We are going to flesh this thing out. Let's get right into it, bro.
Yeah, okay, here we go. To set the stage, it's a distant, far-off future. Humanity has spread to the stars, and in spreading to the stars, we found that we are not alone. Unfortunately, the race that we've come into encounter with also hoped to be out here alone. And so some tension begins to form, and we find ourselves in the middle of a first contact war between humanity and this other as yet unnamed, unidentified, like alien species. The war has been going for some years now. Humanity is struggling a bit in the conflict. And so they've stepped up efforts to reclaim defeated warships because we need to keep building out the fleet. We need to keep building out the fleet. And so this new type of vessel has been rapidly rushed into production. They call them these shipbreakers, right? They're these big, massive scrapping vessels. But because of their purpose and the time of their creation, they're just giant, big, boxy, weird. They look nothing like any other ship in the fleet, right? So this is the story. There is one of these massive, like behemoth shipbreakers out there going through just empty space, pulling up on what is like a derelict human battleship, right? That looks from the outside like ostensibly just like a battleship, right? If you didn't know that it was derelict, right? So the perspective of what this would look like to an alien is like this giant predatory species coming up upon its prey and watching as this ship snaps it into pieces and begins to reduce it down to its base components and ingest it, basically, right? And to watch that like rapid disassembly of a ship and reclamation to an alien, this ship looks nothing like the ships they've been fighting. They have no reason to believe it's a human war vessel, right? And so there's this like light bulb moment of, okay, wait a second. Who are these guys? We got to get these guys on our side, because if they're that powerful, if they're doing that to these ships that we've been fighting for years and they can just come in and crack these things open, we need those guys on our team.
Sick. Dude, I love that idea. Especially since I would imagine that the story is going to be told from the perspective of the alien.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that would be really cool. That's a great idea.
Well, as you're explaining it to me, I'm, the way my brain works is I imagine things like movies in my head. So you're explaining it to me, and I'm imagining, okay, an alien ship rolls up to another alien ship, devouring their enemy ship, and it looks like it's a battle being taken place, and that the enemies don't have any say in it. And the fear that they feel, I feel like I could relate to that fear of being like, especially, you look at the way that governments work anyway. It's like,
right,
the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? So they see this happening and they're like, okay, they're either going to be with us or against us. Or I guess there's a small possibility that it's going to be, they want to just devour the entire universe and everybody. But if we at least negotiate, we might have a chance. And so like all of that personal inner conflicts, I feel like is all happening within the alien captain's mind. So that's where my mind immediately just like got shot to.
No, I like that, man. I like that. I had back and forth between the two. My obviously, like my brain always goes from like the human side because that's just I know that experience. Um, but no, I think that would be a really cool way to tell it. Would you do like multi-perspective, or do you think it's almost more fun? I think
Well,
just the alien side.
are you imagining this is like a short film? Just a like like a 10-minute short film?
I don't know, man. Yeah, yeah, probably, probably.
At least to start out. I mean,
Yeah,
they're definitely the lore that you've built out just from the initial concept. It could be an expansive universe where we actually get to like see the war and get to know the different races and stuff. Like there could be something way more to it.
what if it's
But I
all
feel like,
through 10-minute shorts?
oh, that would be
They're
cool.
connected but not directly connected. So it's not like we're following the same characters. We're not experiencing the war from. You ever read World War Z?
Yes.
Okay,
The book was
the
so
book.
different than the movie because the
Hmm.
book was a collection of short stories.
Yep. So that storytelling to me is always really exciting as a way to like share a world, because it's linear in time maybe, but non-linear in like character and moment, and then you're free to explore different genres within the world too, right? Different narrative flair and all of this, but it's all rooted in that same, so you can continue to revisit that same concept, but explore different elements and different avenues. But I think that could be really fun.
Animatrix.
Ooh,
Animatrix.
no,
Have you seen that?
no.
Oh yeah, you should
Wow.
definitely watch The
Okay.
Animatrix.
Okay. Is it
It is a collection of short films that are all done in different art styles that all are within the world of the Matrix that none of them have to do with the main Matrix stories. They are other people coming
interesting?
to enlightenment and it's really cool.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how I missed that. That's kind of neat.
Another good recommendation would be Heavy Metal, the
Okay,
the
yeah.
original film from the 70s or the 80s, and that is super vulgar and hilarious and awesome, and with awesome 80s like crazy heavy metal.
Like hair metal.
And each story is completely different and independent, but it's all connected by one element that travels through what they call the metalverse.
Okay.
And so
Oh,
it's
that's cool.
that's
That's
so cool that
fun.
you said that because I've been thinking about that for a while about a lot of my different stories and
Well, that
creating these franchises out of shorts instead of out of like big Marvel films or
I
whatever.
God, dude, what there was one. It's not the same thing. There was a sci-fi property I ran into recently that was kind of that same vibe, but it was a bunch of. I don't think they were actually connected. I couldn't tell,
Was
but
it
it
Love, Death,
was.
and Robots?
mm,
Because that is
I
actually
don't
the
think it
extension.
was.
Okay,
It
have you heard
might
of that?
have been, dude. It might
Is
have
it on
been. It actually might have been. Yeah,
on Netflix?
it was on Netflix. It might have been that. I don't know why I thought it was something different. I don't have Netflix
Lo-
anymore, so I can't check.
hmm.
I'm gonna look up Love, Death,
Yeah, find it.
and Robots really quick and see if this looks familiar. No, you know what? I think it was something different.
Really? Nice.
Yeah, no, this doesn't look familiar. Okay, so then there's this something else out there.
Hmm. There's something out there in
Something
the ether.
more. Um, but yeah, dude, I think that'd be a fun way to do it. Uh, I think
All right, so then
the
let's.
story's fun. So I like the idea of opening up, like you said, with the alien perspective, kind of stumbling upon this happening.
So,
Um,
do you have any idea at all of the direction that like the characters you would want them to go in, or are you coming? You're coming to me with the idea, and you're like, please help.
so I have thoughts on what the characters are doing, the how to tell the story, not my bailiwick. Um, so the thought I had is that the salvage ship captain is will end this becoming a person of some significance in like the way that we know who Paul Revere is from American history.
Okay.
This salvage captain will recognize the opportunity in front of him in the way that he is approached by this alien race, and like as a sought after ally he kind of can starts to put the pieces together, and is going to leverage that position of fear and potential threat and try to play this really like fine line game of not pushing that too hard, but using it to bring them a little bit to heal and use it to like inspire a peace negotiation between the
Okay.
two sides. Here's the character he creates as he goes through this. The rationale that I've come up with that he tries to kind of press it. I don't know if this is believable or not, so we can refine this. But he's basically going to like when the aliens approach him to join their side in the conflict, he's basically going to be like, "Hey, no, listen, you have actually both of you have been fucking up space for us for a while, and we've been tolerating it, thinking that this shit was going to end, but it's been too long, and we're sick of your like childish bullshit. So here's your options. We've already shown them what we can do. You're next. You can stop that from happening and save millions of your people's lives from extinction if you just agree to not fight anymore and stop fucking up space for us. Otherwise, we're going to have to take care of it. We've given you 6 years of non-interference to like, right? Like that's
That's
going
pretty
to kind of
cool.
be his thing. And then like the human power structures that exist are just going to go align. I don't think they become a character in the story so much. Except that they will show up to the negotiating table as like in line with what he's selling. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know if it's a double blind. Like it's obviously not a double blind, right? It's like the humanity has to be on it because they know who he is. Um, so that was kind of the idea, though. So like they're gonna approach him, and then he's gonna kind of push back and come up with this like ruse
I
pretty
like that.
quickly.
Like
Um,
almost on the spot.
yeah, and so
Okay,
like
because he's not expecting it. He's out there salvaging a ship, right? So he's like,
no,
he's probably like, how do I react to this? Let me hear them out. And whereas maybe another war person would have just like shot them out of the sky
yeah,
immediately, he's not a warrior. He's not a general. He's a salvage guy. So he's like us, like
yep,
the working class, right? He's the guy who's in the trenches and he's just like, all right, let me hear this guy. Like, let me
yeah.
see what I can, I don't know.
When I think it's so the character because it's like 10 minutes, right? So like the arc is really in my mind like there's a lot of minute points to it to help guide the flow, but and we won't see his perspective, so I don't know how much of this comes in. But for flair and filling out worlds, so like the initial response is his first responsibility is to the safety of his crew. And so when approached by the vessel, it's just going to be an acquiescence to the hail, right? Like we'd like to speak to you, right? Of course he's like, okay, well, we're just lucky that they're not shooting yet, so I guess we'll talk to him and hear him out because like what else, right? So like the
Also,
thought
maybe they hear
begins
something
to
in the voice too. They hear like, they sound scared a little bit. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I think sure, right? Like but it's I don't think the idea is going to come to him until he's sitting at the table with them in like the EVA industrial kit, right? So it's like a dark blackened out like face visor because you're out there with like a cutting torch and stuff, right? Like it would be very practical, but just alien enough that I think for the audience seeing from the aliens side this person come aboard, it's not immediately apparent that they're human, but they could be,
kind
right?
of like Master Chief next to all the other soldiers, like taller, maybe
Mm-hmm.
like bigger. You can't see the face, and then because it's maybe a mech suit or something that he's in, it's not just a suit. It's a mech suit
Well,
to allow him to
yeah,
like lift things and like if something comes at him, he's not losing limbs and stuff.
yeah. So it'd have like hard points on it and some like probably some extension to it, right? Yeah, like I like that. So it's like they look superhuman in these things, but it's just because like it's necessary insulation to be in space for long periods of time. It's hard points because like you have to be, there's attachment points for, these big like cutting beams, which he would wear like onto the ship. So it looks like he's coming armed. You know what I mean? Like, so all of these stuff that are just tools, but to a race that's never seen them before, and the way they're being implemented at the moment of encounter. Like, anyway,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So that's the human side. The aliens, like I've given, I think, more thought to the captain than any other character in the story, and his perspective is the one we won't see.
The captain of
the shipbreaker captain.
Okay. You haven't thought about like the way the aliens would react as much.
Only that like in my head initially, it's less fear in like the traditional sense and more awe. Right?
Oh.
I think it's
okay.
You know what I mean? It's not like,
it's
oh
like
my
a sense
God,
of
this
like
guy
respect.
could kill us. Well, yeah, but like do you remember the first time you saw an elephant? Right? Like, or a giraffe? Like, I remember the first time I saw an elephant, I was like, what? Things are that big? Like, that's crazy, right? And I was like, I was a nothing in the world. So, like, it's more like, I think that initially it's that awe and wonderment of like, what in the name of is this?
Yeah.
Like, and then to comprehend the power and magnitude of what it's doing, like the oh, we need them on our side, not against us, like becomes apparent. But I think like because they're watching it destroy their enemy, the captain's almost, I think, like a little bit more like awestruck and excited. There's like an opportunistic moment of like, I'm about to change destiny, right? I'm going to get these guys on our side, and I'm going to be the one that wins the war for my people, right?
That's a cool idea. And yeah, because I imagine him almost like I imagine a moment where almost we see a tear swelling in his eyes or something, because he's like, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. One, even like the initial approach might just be, hey, we don't want you to fight our war for us, but what's it going to take to get a couple of those? Like, what do you guys need? How can we get this technology? Right? Like, I don't know what the pitch that he initially, like so these guys, imagine like the opening scene is kind of them pulling up, right? And this is like the opening sequence is like seeing it, the reaction of like the alien, like captain and crew, to this behemoth just ripping into this thing, right? And then the second, like, and then the contact hail goes out, right? And so like the second major set piece would be the arrival of the shipbreaker like delegation, as it were, of like the captain and maybe like two other people to the alien vessel, for like the handshake, like first contact, right? And then that meeting would be like the second major scene where the pieces start to unfold, and the captain the human captain makes his play and starts to like, I think somewhat genuinely, right? Like give this has gone on too long and it needs to end speech to the alien, but from that bluffing position of like, and if you don't acquiesce to this, what we're doing to that thing, we're about to do to you and yours. And then there would have to be a break apart there. So the threat would be levied.
Yeah.
The delegation would return, the human delegation would return back to their vessel. And then I think the next like major sequence would have to be the negotiation. Like the scene that is the ending of hostilities at the table. And then the like human military command leaves the room. The alien command like leaves the room. The ship captain is like there for enough time. And then the removal of the helmet.
And that's the reveal. Like that's the first time we find out that he's a human.
Yeah, the
I think
first time
that's
the
cool.
audience gets confirmation, right? Like, I think some people will be like, "Oh, I knew it the whole time," and some people will be just like, "We like magic." But either way, like, I don't know. I think it could be fun.
Okay, so I've got some ideas.
Okay, talk to me, dude.
I want to run. I want to run with this idea.
Yeah.
So, like you said, in the very beginning, we start out with the alien captain, and maybe he's around some type of strategic table, and he's planning like a strategic attack. And so maybe we could do a little bit of research and like learn the lingo a little bit
Mm-hmm.
about that strategic planning and that like overhead attack posture, almost similar to how in Skyrim when you walk into the Earl's back room and you see the map and you can actually see where Winterhold's versus the Imperials, where the territories are actually being held. And you see it a lot all the time in movies where people are like moving ships with their or like in Star Wars, like a hologram. And then like his first mate runs in like, Captain, you've got to see this. And then we can kind of like come in and reveal that. We show that moment of like respect, not not fear, but like respect and admiration and awe, like you said. And then we have him contemplate either to himself out loud or maybe to some of his crew. Have you ever seen The Man from Earth?
I don't think so. Please hold.
Have you ever seen 12 Angry Men?
I have seen 12 Angry Men. That is an amazing
So
film.
I almost imagine, because this isn't necessarily like an action scene, I almost imagine a really intense conversation to be most of the film. Once that first act is over, like act 1 is going to be all on the alien ship and the sense of awe, and we get to know what's his intention now, what choice is he going to make, and he chooses to contact the shipbreaker. Once he gets over there, all of act 2 is going to maybe be in that one single room, and it's a conversation. Maybe he's like, once the captain of the shipbreaker, maybe his voice is distorted. Maybe we make their suits look a little bit more alien because it's maybe a private company or something, and they want it to be cool looking. So they don't even resemble human. Like the faces look like alien faces or something like that because it's a mask. And the whole scene could just be this conversation between the two of them, but where the guy in the suit isn't saying much. He says like small one-word answers that are really intimidating because he's trying to be the most intimidating one in the room.
Yeah, well, he's trying to
inside
learn.
He's sweating.
He's trying to learn from them on the fly. Yeah. No, I love that. I have thoughts for design stuff.
And then the alien is trying to convince him how bad humans are. And we could even like inject a little bit of like how we feel about humanity in there. Like, I mean, if you look at trends of humanity, like we could highlight a lot of our flaws within this conversation. And I don't know. I think that would also be relatable because when someone's watching that, they'd be like, yeah, we do that. Yeah, we kind of suck.
Yeah. What was there's a film, I can't remember the name of it. But there's a juxtaposition like that where I think the premise of the film is that there's a prisoner being interviewed by like the defense attorney who's been assigned. And as you find out as the film goes on, the prisoner is a demon describing humanity to the defense attorney, but like praising humanity for all of the evil that we're capable of. It's brilliant. But I really like that idea to get that like, come on, like they do, this is what they're about. This is how they treat their people kind of vibe. Like whip some of that in there. And like, of course you have to be on our side. And the captain's just like, I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, because you think that maybe he's going to have to justify what humanity does, but maybe, I don't know, maybe he comes back and says like, you're a hypocrite. Like, look at your people. Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
And points out all their flaws. And maybe it's like, we're two sides of the same coin. And that's kind of how he said like that he can make his point to the alien, but also at the very end, it's not going to be, the alien chooses to do it maybe out of fear more so than being convinced. But there could be this part of the conversation where he's actually trying to convince the alien like
Yeah.
that he's wrong.
Well, and I think it would be really neat in the so that's like act two, right?
Yeah.
So in act three, I would love to uh have this character, this captain, um to like explore some actual like moral like goodness in the captain too, to like
In the
not
alien?
well, so in the shipbreaker cap, so like the alien captain has some, I think, like understandable perspectives, right? He's a man of war,
Yes.
right? And the people, the humans on the other side of the table in act three or four would be men of war. Um, the captain in the middle is just a person, and he's just working, and he's trying to keep his crew fed and safe, right? And you know what I mean? Like he doesn't care. So when the alien captain is talking to him and is like, "Well, humans do this, 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 and this, and they're horrible," he's very well aware that these guys probably do a lot of the same stuff to their people too, right? So we get that two sides of the same coin, but at the negotiating table, uses some of his power not just to bring about a cessation, like an end of hostilities, but really push that both sides have to do something productive to like benefit society, the galaxy at large, people, like something,
Okay.
as a show of their intention to improve what they've damaged, right? Would be like the in character justification of the captain as the alien that he's pretending to be. But then also, just as the captain being the captain, is like, no, fuck you guys. You've been fighting this war for no reason for 6 years. Hundreds of thousands of people have died on both sides. Like, what is wrong with you? So, like, actually forcing them to do something like
To make
productive,
amends.
and can get like a really sharp, why are you going off book look from one of the human like military commanders real quick. And then, like, I don't know, I just think it'd be kind of fun.
That
Um,
is a cool idea
I
to
mean,
kind of
neat.
make them make amends. So what are you thinking that you want to extend it past that initial meeting? Because I think that if it's going to be a short film, it's going to be expositiony a little bit, but it's because it's going to be more of an intense
Yeah.
conversation, I feel like. But extending it past that point to like a trial area, I think would be redundant because we would just simply be repeating kind of like the same type of conversation unless we maybe
No, I guess that's
showed that, like, if he could
uh
get all of his convincing done in that room and not having to go to a negotiation table, that would be able to tell the story in a more concise way. And I think more concise is more entertaining because it keeps you engaged. It's not another scene that is, unless it's maybe a montage at the very end over credits or something
uh of
of them
like them
actually like
signing an
signing.
accord.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so my that totally, that works for me. My initial thought was that the initial encounter between the alien captain and the shipbreaker captain would be a relatively short um conversation, and it would be a lot of the alien captain trying to be like convincing him that humanity's wrong, they need to be on their side, like that his people are in the right, like all of this, da 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 da. And he would be met with this really immovable brick wall, very short responses, and then just a like, both of you are in the wrong. Both of you have ruined, like, have hurt the peace and stability of this galaxy, and this has gone on for long enough that we can no longer tolerate it. I'm here to let you know, under penalty of extinction, that your presence is requested at a peace summit at this location in 2 weeks' time, and then just
So
leaves.
I
But
guess the
but
issue.
it's not necessary to do it that way. That was the initial thought process.
Well, and I want to work that out with you because if that's how you imagined it, like if it serves the story, then it's worth doing. But if I
Yeah.
personally, I'm like seeing the story play out,
And
I'm thinking about pacing, and I'm also thinking about believability. Like if this guy is just a captain of a shipbreaker ship, he's not really connected as much into like this, like how is he gonna convince him, this alien, to come back for a peace hearing, and then when the alien leaves he's gonna have to panic and try to figure out how to actually make the peace hearing go on, because it's not like this whole thing is planned, it was happenstance. So
yeah.
rather I
Uh,
feel like him
and
really convincing him right then and there, and the alien captain maybe is so, like, he thinks these things are gods essentially because they're so powerful, and he's has fear for his race as well as admiration, and so he's like, okay, like, I think that should be the conclusion, at least, like, in that room, like, okay, like, I will go back and I'll tell my people. And so that is, like, I feel like a satisfying ending. And then on top of that, the cherry on top is when we see and then we see it's a human, and maybe even, like, comedically a little bit, we have him be like a scrawny guy, like, holy shit.
Yeah. Did that work?
Did that actually work? Yeah. And then, like, we cut to black or something like that. I think that would be more concise, more entertaining, and get the same exact story told without having to worry about all the logistics of going back to Earth and for a peace hearing and stuff like that. As well as it would be, I think, simple enough to film if we ever got resources to film it, because it's 2 sets and it's like 5 or maybe 4 actors, right? And a bunch of, and like, prosthetics and makeup and all that. That'll be the hardest part, and like graphics. But logistically, I think, and for a short film, and I do think that if we were to expand this into a longer series or longer film or novel or game, that's extending out those experiences would obviously make sense. But for a short, I'm just concerned with timing.
No, I mean, I think that makes sense. I think that works. That's a vibe.
Sweet. If we're on the same page with that, I shared with you a beat sheet. On I sent it to your Gmail.
To the drive. Shipbreakers, you are the one.
And now I'm going to share that screen right here.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to work on some beats, bruh. Drop a beat.
Beats. Okay.
So this is kind of like, this right here is my little outline.
This is great.
This is a beat sheet designed for a feature film. So we're going to alter it slightly. I need to make another one for shorter films, but this is really for a feature film or for a TV pilot or a TV series or a novel. But the same things apply to a short film. It's just everything is condensed and a lot shorter. So we can still fill out this part, and then down here below, there's the actual beats of the story. Once again, for a feature film.
Yeah.
But it's the same concept. We still want to have that therefore, but, like, repetition, because the worst thing about films is when it's like, this happened, then this happened, then this happened, and it's like, that's when people stop losing interest. So if you have everything cause something else, and that's what kind of keeps the story rolling, it keeps everybody interested. So if we do this real fast, if it's not working, if we're spending too much time on themes or specific points, we could always just jump right in and start writing. But I think I love at least getting what we just discussed down into different scenes and different beats.
No, I think it's great. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So Ordinary Worlds, we have, if you want to think about some names, like
names of
the characters.
Yeah, dude.
Like, do you know of any alien culture that
I know many. I was thinking the alien name would be Peter Caval.
I was thinking,
because it's different, because it's got a V in it.
Kavalchuk. I was thinking the alien captain could be, and then the first mate could be.
I actually think I know how to spell that. Hold on.
It's only 12 vowels, don't worry.
Yeah, there's no consonants in the whole language. It's kind of rad.
Okay, so we've got the Ordinary World is basically where we start. Alien captain planning a strategic attack in his ship. Then the inciting incident is that they spot the shipbreaker and they believe it's another unknown alien race who can help them defeat humans. The general goal of our main character is to convince these new this new race to join their side. Stunning surprise. Well, not every single story needs a stunning surprise, but I like using it to be like, it's one of those tools that you use to kind of like, even the audience or even sometimes the people in the film will kind of gasp. It's like, it's legit a surprise. I don't know if we have one of those for this story, but it could be.
I'm gonna say the only one I know would be the end.
That would
reveal.
Be. Yeah, but that wouldn't be really a stunning surprise as part of the beats of the story.
Right. That's the only big, like.
So if we think just slightly maybe of the conversation within the alien ship, and I would say potentially the stunning surprise.
Okay, so we could. I don't know if this works. Also, I don't know where my other window went. There we go. So what if the inciting incident isn't that they spot a shipbreaker and believe it's another unknown alien race and don't be humans? What if the inciting incident, so they're planning the strategic attack, the inciting incident is that another contact drops into space nearby, they pick it up, like, and so that's the crewman like rushes in and is like, something big just showed up. We don't know what it is, but you need to come see this, right? And that's the like inciting incident. So they're in there planning to like attack this vessel, right? Or human space. And the inciting incident is the arrival of the shipbreaker, but to them it's just a big something just showed up. And then the stunt and like and so the stunning surprise is the captain arrives onto the deck of the ship to see this giant vessel just in time to watch it break the destroyer in half. I don't know, like so.
How do you feel about how do you feel about the way that they travel through space? Is it going to be like jumping through space, as in like kind of like in Star Trek or Star Wars, warp drive of some sort? Because if something's coming inbound, if it's just normal technology the way we have it, like we can track things.
Oh no, yeah, it would be like they dropped out of like, I don't know, yeah, use hyperspace or quantum or something like that, right? Like so it would be like a boom, something big just rocketed in and is here on scope now.
Okay.
And so the
initial alien ship. Okay, so this is what I think it could be. The inciting incident isn't necessarily that they find or they sense something coming out, and it's not the shipbreaker. Maybe because we're making this capital ship, this human capital ship, look operational, maybe they sense the ship. It's like they're flying through hyperspace and they're talking about a strategy to destroy a capital ship, and then all of a sudden the first mate comes in and is like, you know, we've got a reading on it like 4 parsecs to the left or whatever. I don't know, we'll think of that when we get to it. And then he's like, or either that or they're just flying through space like normally, and they come across the ship, and then he's like, battle stations everyone, like they're planning on attacking this ship that's we know as derelict. So, but when they see it, they're like, get to your battle stations. This is our opportunity, like for glory or whatever. And then so now their general goal is to destroy the ship. And the stunning surprise is like right before they're about to engage, the first mate's like, wait, there's someone else coming. And all of a sudden it's just like, boom, and immediately and just starts eating the capital ship. Like as soon as it comes out of hyperspace.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
Because then that is a moment where the audience is going to be like, what?
Yeah.
Like I was expecting a battle and now this thing just ate it.
Yeah. Well, and I'm like, so this, I don't know, there's all kinds of stuff you can do visually, right? Like you can have what looks like you know, capital ships show up, they drop and they launch fighters, right?
Yeah.
A salvage ship would do the same thing. They're just not fighters. But like as the main ship is like breaking pieces off of this thing, there'd be like ships swarming around to like attack those pieces basically. Just like whatever visual you construct to get to that point. But I really like that idea, man. Yeah, it's big, it's dramatic, it's a big like, oh my gosh, and then they see it happen so quickly that they're like, well, we either run or talk to these guys, because clearly that didn't work out well for them. So no, I like that, man. I like that.
Do you think that the alien ship should be in hyperspace or like in overdrive, and then they sense the derelict ship, or do you think they should just be flying through like normal space? And the reason they don't sense it on the sensor is because it's dead, it's derelict, so they don't have like, it doesn't have like a whatever.
Yeah, power. Well, it could be like from so it could be like a border patrol, right? They're out doing like a combat air patrol of a region of space, right? And on the patrol, so they're going through, captain's talking, his crew is all this stuff. It's like business as usual, right? And then you get the ping from the helmsman that they're detecting something, right? And so they'll get the general call to like action stations and all of this and drop the lights or whatever, and they ready themselves for potential contact, right? And then they're able to ID this ship like visually and just assume like they're not picking up a bunch of readings from it, but they're picking up some readings. So they think, well, maybe it's damaged from like a recent skirmish or something. How lucky for us that we can go pick off this easy target, right? And so that's like the opening, and they come in. And then as they're like approaching for the attack run and getting guns and weapons and shield, everything like lined up, powered up, missiles and everything, then the ship drops out, the shipbreaker arrives, drops out of, whatever travel, and starts just bearing into this thing.
I like that.
Cool.
So I added that the alien ship is on patrol at the border of their jurisdiction. The alien captain is planning a strategic defense of the border by adding more, maybe protection.
Yeah, I think so I imagine like if they're on the patrol of like the border of their jurisdiction, it's a patrol, right? And so it's mainly a training exercise unless they find something. But it's just honing the crew to be efficient, right? So it's just like I don't know, it'd be like a submarine captain, right? Just out in a time of war, just out patrolling water. This is just what they do every day, but it's always to make the crew better, right? So the captain's just going through like his like routine commands, right? And just checking on the crew and like,
that is very ordinary. It's an ordinary world,
right? Yeah. But then he gets, from the radar pit, I don't know what would be in space, but like the person handling like the sonar and detection and whatever would be like, Captain, we've got something showing up on scope, bearing something. And have that little like dialogue, right? But the captain would take them to like action stations and prepare for contact, and everybody would go, you know what I mean? Like it would go from that, it's a routine patrol, to, okay, we actually have something, everybody get ready. And that would change the atmosphere. Their general goal at that point would be to investigate and engage a potential contact. Yeah, and actually, they identify it, so it would be to prepare for combat, basically.
Yeah, that's the general goal. They prepare for battle.
And then the stunning surprise is the arrival of the shipbreaker and the rapid assessment that they are outgunned and outmanned, but being presented with an opportunity.
Okay, so now his specific goal is he's presented with an opportunity to
make contact with a potential ally, a potentially powerful ally.
Is that how you spell ally?
Yeah, looks good to me. I'm convinced.
Well, I know that I'm a better speller than Zach. Zach is always making fun of himself. He says, "I'm a writer who can't spell." I'm like, "Yep, that's all right."
Hey man, as long as you can get the idea across, that's what editors are for.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Oh yeah. Okay. Special worlds. The special world is how has this ordinary world changed? Okay, the special world is like there is a new alien.
New alien, dude. I like that you got that in there. A new.
that was unintentional. God King. God aliens. The midpoint.
So I think in the script writing of this, we can play up the drama amongst the crew of like, we should probably just run, right? Like, what if we sit here and make contact? They're gonna know we're here, and if they know we're here, they might just kill us, right? Like, look what they're doing to those guys, right? Like, there can be some dissenting voices, like as the captain, like in the seconds of silence from the captain as he like takes this in and thinks, the crew can represent the different like possibilities that they could have done, and then the captain will
make
his decision and give his command, right? Give his orders.
That's a good idea.
The midpoint can be the like decision to hail this big ship and try to make contact.
Well, the midpoint, I would actually think there's going to be, the midpoint does not come directly after this specific goal in special worlds. There is actually, I know this could be, I guess, confusing now that I'm looking at it.
Oh, that makes sense.
Whereas Act 1, it really is one after the other, after the other, after the other, because Act 1 is so condensed. Act 2 is 50% of the film. And so, typically. And so there's actually going to be a lot that happens within this special world with this new specific goal before we actually get to the midpoint. The midpoint is literally, like, I aim for trying to get it literally halfway in between. So for the 10-minute film, 5 minutes in, we're going to try to get a midpoint. And my little note over here is it raises the stakes. So technically, you're right. That decision to go over to the alien ship does raise the stakes, but I feel like that happens. That is like,
yeah, that moment is really earlier.
That moment is like right here.
Yeah.
Like in between Act 1 and Act 2. It's like almost the inception of Act 2, because his special world is he's on the alien ship. Now he's making first contact. That's actually a better.
Yeah. So that midpoint would be the ask, basically, right? Where he's like, hey, be on our side bit.
Yes. So that I feel like raises the stakes. That is, as soon as maybe he starts asking for help, is almost like it goes from, please, like, hello, we respect you. This is amazing what you're doing. We're like just trying to get to know each other. And then you kind of do that little small talk at first, and then you ask for help. And once you go out of your way and you ask and you have that courage to like speak up, now it changes the conversation. It's not just let's get to know each other. Now it's like, so I feel like that could be that point of no return.
Yeah, no, I like that.
And then the need, if you want to write that in there, I think I'm trying to think of the character's need. I feel like his need, because if he's going to change, I'm wondering how philosophical you want to get with this. If our main character actually changes his perspective on how he feels about humanity and isn't just scared into submission. then I feel like that could also be that could like really deepen the story.
Okay, so I
Like,
wanted to talk about that.
okay,
If this captain's diffusal is enough to diffuse the war, um, then the war, I think this would have to be the captain that would have started the war. You know what I'm saying?
I do, and
This
this is
one
probably
ship
this.
captain deciding that humanity is like actually okay after all. Um, from like a narrative consequence standpoint, wouldn't really do a whole lot, and it would just be like a small story on the frontier, right? Like it's not like that can also happen. If it's gonna be something that brings about like a peace in the war, um, then there needs to be something compelling that side to come to the table, even though they're winning, right? And that's where I was like, I think the threat of this third race coming to the table and just killing everybody, right? Like, is a little bit more likely to bring the power structure that's winning a war to heel than um than a captain being like, well, these guys aren't so bad after all, right?
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I think fear is definitely.
If that's the end point, right? Like if that's still the end point, it doesn't have to be. But
I feel like that would be the biggest impact to end on. Rather, like, unless we were going to have some type of a battle or action scene within there or something
yeah,
else very tense, like compelling, and not just another trial or something like that, you know? And I also think that the decision doesn't need to be finalized here. If you think about maybe, I almost feel like it's like a general saying, I am going to give you grace so that you can go deliver a message for me. Like, I kill everyone in your crew. There's one survivor. You're the messenger. And so it's similar to that scenario where he's like, this captain doesn't really necessarily have the ability to stop the war and say the war is over. Oh, okay, yes, sir. But maybe he'll be like, well, like, what do I do? Like, tell me what to do. Like, I need to protect my race, my home. And then he's like, go deliver the message to like
yeah, uh-huh.
convince
So the
others.
end point of the narrative is the alien captain is sent back basically with a commission to like, hey, it's on you to stop this horrible future from becoming, right?
Yeah. And
So
he's
it
clearly a
is,
captain, so he has some say. He can, maybe people will believe him. His whole
well,
crew's still alive. They'll believe him.
it could be, we could up his rank too. He could be like an admiral. It could be like a battle
True.
group out on patrol, right? Like it's totally,
Yeah.
anything goes, man. It's our story. Um, so that
So
like
that
this
makes
that
sense.
that bridges that impact gap a little bit. Um, and so like in that conversation, captain to admiral, then um, we can do some of that. Like your enemy's not what you think they are. They're not who you think they are. Um, so for us seeing both sides of this, here are your options. You either convince your people to end the conflict and come to the table and talk terms,
Or we will end it
or
for you.
we will end it for both parties, right? Um,
We've been doing just fine for millions of
yeah.
millennia,
Well, yeah.
without either of you here.
Yep.
So we'll be okay without you.
We have endured your existence long enough,
Ooh.
but if you're going to continue to make war, we have no reason to allow you to continue to exist, right? Like that's kind of I think the threat. Um, but he'll show like an appreciation for humanity in that moment too, like just because he's on the other end of the table, I think. Um, but I like that. So it's and then if it's ever explored in a later short, um, that character can be referenced uh, down the line for what he's done, so we don't have to show the event happening. We can always just establish it canonically in a later thing. Uh,
So now this is where it gets tricky because in a traditional film or 3-act structure or a longer story, there would be like a stunning. I guess if we continued on, like, this is in the negotiation room, and then this would also be in the negotiation room, the success or failure. So this is
okay, so hear me out here. I'm
go ahead.
gonna bump that down there, right? So the character's need, right after, like immediately at the midpoint, is the ask, right? The character's need is still to bring about a beneficial resolution to the conversation, right? I think the reversal in the character's darkest hour would be when they run into the brick wall response from this entity that's like, no, you don't understand why we're here. Let me tell you. I'm not here to be asked to step into your petty conflict. I'm here to tell you that your conflict is over or your people are dead. Those are your choices, right? Like, and that's, I think, the I don't know if it's like a stunning surprise, but I think that's that reversal. So that Act 3, like that conflict is either end the war or face eradication, is what he's perceiving. And so that success or failure end off of the story for the alien captain is to go convince, like, to take the message forward, right? So we don't have in here, we don't really have like so maybe that point of conflict is when the adversary, the shipbreaker captain, is kind of pushing back that humanity doesn't deserve to die either, right? Like, I don't know the mechanics of that conversation. Maybe that's kind of where that stuff comes in.
I think maybe there could be like a Gandalf moment when he actually tries to show his true strength to the alien because talking and being stoic maybe isn't working. Like it keeps getting more and more heated, and the alien starts getting aggressive, and so he like slams his fist against the table and like bends the table and stands up. And
because he's got the big exosuit grippies. Yes.
Yeah, and then maybe even at that point, like some of his crew are grabbed by other humans who are in similar suits in that room or something like that. Like that could be the conflict. It could be very quick, but it is an actual, like, the stakes have been, and that's also like the stunning surprise too. Like they kind of can meld together, especially for a short film. And what you're saying about the character's need, I think it makes sense for this film, especially as a short. Typically, the need versus the goal is like the want versus the need. Like, so if
I got you.
The character wants something, but then throughout their journey, they find out that that's not really what they needed. They needed this the whole time. So that's why I had to be convinced to end the war. Like that's what he needs, even though he wants to win the war.
Yeah.
Either way, he wants peace for his people. Whether they win or whether they form a truce, there's going to be peace for at least one side.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
I dig it.
So then stunning surprise and conflict. Let's just put it in stunning surprise. And then the return to ordinary world is like alien ship shoots away as fast as it can. I'm imagining, like, at the very end of the negotiation, when they finally leave, we go back to outside of the shipbreaker and we see the alien ship just go like past the camera, and then we go back like to show like let's light a fire under our butts, like we got to do this. And then we go back inside, and that's when we see, did that really just work? What the fuck? And
what
then, like,
we just do? No, I think that'd be really cool.
I think that's also like a really cool release of tension. Like after all of that tension building and building and building and building, and then it's just like you could laugh at the end, and you're like, "That's sick."
So Pete, I had an idea visually for the end too. So there's the conversation between the two, like the admiral and the captain. And then like the shipbreaker captain's got like his two crewmen like muscle behind him in their like suits, right? So they all look really alien, whatever. when the alien captain is convinced to leave and leaves, the camera doesn't leave with him. And we see like we see like a shot out as the camera like follows his delegation out the door and continues to pan to like a viewport. We see their return to the ship, and then the ship's very expeditious like exit. And then it continues to pan back over to the shipbreaker captain and crew, and the captain doesn't take his helmet off. The guy behind him snaps his helmet off and does some like, did that just freaking work? And then like that's our cut.
I like that.
I think that'd be awesome. I think it'd be fun. Because it like showing that change of I don't know. I think it'd be neat.
It could also show the difference in personality, and I thought it would be funny to see how together the captain actually is after that conversation. Like, I thought that would be funny, but I also like that idea about the like the first mate doing it, but because I even imagine the first mate does it. Did that just really work right now? And then we cut back
to the captain still getting his helmet off. Yeah, like the whole group is kind of.
That would be cool if they all do it at the same time and we see all of them.
Yeah.
But I was even thinking when you just described that the first mate takes his helmet off. He's a younger, in his 20s, right? Late 20s, and he's like, "Did that just really work?" And then we cut back to the captain and we just hear him laugh. But he still keeps it's still like a deepened voice.
Yeah.
And then everyone starts laughing or something like that, and then we like pan out. I don't know. I guess we could play around with the very ending, but I think we're on the same page of that like kind of comedic wrap up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and like really just given the like they're just a bunch of blue collar guys.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the best part.
That really fun tonal shift right at the end I think is awesome. And sets up like the expanded stuff too, so that's great.
Yeah, because literally this could be the short film that gets people interested in this lore, in this world, which then could be like lead to, hey, do you guys have an idea for like a longer version of this?
Yeah,
and we'll just get on another call and be like, yes we do.
Yep.
We'll get it to you in a week.
Yeah,
let us just refine it real fast.
Right. And then we'll give it to Apple TV and let them do weird stuff. Makes me sad. I keep thinking of it while we're writing this. I keep thinking of The Foundation.
Yeah, so I couldn't even get past season 1.
Yeah, so I couldn't watch it. But the way the books are written, from those like time jumping perspectives and different characters of like historical note within, is such like, I know, it's neat. Like I love that that short condensed storytelling form is so much fun for me. I don't know.
Have you read iRobot?
I haven't read it. No.
Okay.
No.
iRobot is just like World War Z in the sense that the story that's told in the movie is it's like maybe 20 pages of the book. And the rest of the book is all completely different. The only thing that's similar is like the name of the people.
Okay.
So
dang, that's crazy.
iRobot.
Okay.
Yeah, I have it. I'll let you borrow it.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, that'd be amazing.
All right. We don't even need to go down in here into the beats. I think that the next step would be to go into a writing software and start fleshing it out and just pantsing it from the beginning with what we have.
So, and actually, next step, help me out. What would the next step look like? Is it like script writing yet? Like, what would the next thing? Okay, so we're talking like stage direction and stuff like that too, right? Kind of idea?
Less stage direction.
Or more just like dialogue and movement.
Dialogue and action.
Cool.
So typically, I would say for something that's a little bit more like longer or deeper, I would scroll down here and I have all the story beats. We could go through each and every act and go through each story beat and really flesh out each action a little bit more in depth. It's almost like taking the skeleton that we have in the outline and then breaking it in, going deeper into it. And then the next step would be taking the beats, and each scene we would then write out and expands into an actual action and real dialogue and all of that stuff. But I feel like sometimes for short films, doing the beats is not as necessary because it's such a short story. We kind of get that sense of the arc of and the change of the character, and really all of that from doing the outline. And I think going right into skipping the beats and going right into script writing would be best for a short.
Yeah.
For a feature, if this was a feature, I would say we need to do each and every beat so that we know, because that's a 2 hour or hour and a half, 2 hours. Like, we have to know that the things that happen at the end are still connected and relatable to what we set up in the beginning.
Right.
But for this, it's 10 minutes. So
okay.
I feel comfortable writing.
No, that makes sense. That's awesome.
I would love for you to go on to writerduet.com and make a Writer Duet account. You have 4 free screenplays with the free account, and that is essentially Google Docs for script writing. We could both work on it at the exact same time. Thank you for watching this episode of The Writer's Room. If you got value from this, please subscribe, like, and hit that bell notification. And for more storytelling, screenwriting, films, and audiobooks, check out our library on Into the Phaneron.